Welcome back to the channel. Let's continue from where we left off. So we are doing this new lessons that has been added to the FreeCodeCamp curriculum, and we are building this cat painting to learn intermediate CSS. Alright, so let's continue from where we left off. In the previous lesson we did 1 to 20. Now let's continue from 21 to 40. So inside your cat left ear element, which we have right here, we want to create another div element within the class cat left inner ear. So let's create a div element like so, and this div is going to have a class with a value of cat left inner ear. All right, now we want to, inside the cat right ear, create a similar div which we are going to call, or we are going to give a class with a value of cat right inner ear, like so. Okay, now moving on, you are going to make each ear look like a triangle. So let's see how you're going to do that. First, using a class selector, let's give the cat left ear. So first let's select cat left ear, and we want to give it a left and right border of this value right here. So I'll say border left. Let's give it a size of 35 pixels, a style of solid, and then a color of transparent. Okay, so I'm just going to replicate it by holding Option and Shift, and then I'll press down. Option, Shift, and then press down, or Alt and Shift if you're on Windows. And I'm going to change this left ear to right, like so. Also want to set the border button, so I'll say border button to 70 pixels, solid, and then the color of hash 5E, 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 like so. Let me bring my colon here. Yeah, and then as you can see, we have this raised up bit of the cat head. All right, it's still a work in progress, so let's continue. Now I want to move the left ear into position by setting a position of absolute. So let's first give it a position attribute with a value of absolute. Let's give it a top with a value of negative 26 pixels. Let's also give it a left value of negative 31 pixels, like so. Okay, so we are still working on our ear. It's not quite right, but never mind, we'll work on it. Okay, so like I said, those edges are too sharp for an ear, so we want to round it up a bit, and we're going to do that using border top left radius. Let's give it a value of 90 pixels, like so. Let's do border top right radius, and let's give it a value of 10 pixels, like so. Okay, now to position the left ear properly, you can use CSS transform to rotate it in a certain degree. Okay, so let's talk a bit about this CSS transform property. It's a property that allows you to modify the shape, position, and size of an element without changing the layout or affecting the surrounding elements. So it has some functions like translate, rotate, scale, skew, and metrics. So for this particular one, we want to use the rotate function of the transform property. So we say rotate, and we are going to rotate it by a value of negative 45 degrees, like so. Okay, now as you can see, our left ear is in place. So let's move on and work on the right ear of the cat. So I already have the HTML for it, and we want to use a class selector to select it. So we'll say dot cut right ear. Then let's give it a left and right border. So we'll say border left of 35 pixels. That's for the size. The style is solid. And then let's say transparent for the color. And then I'm going to hold Option and Shift again and then press down. Or if you're on Windows, hold Option and Alt and then press down. So I change this to right. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to also set border button. Let's set it to 70 pixels, solid, 5E, 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 like so. Okay, now to finish off the right ear, let's move it into position. So let's set the position property and give it a value of absolute. And then we want to give it a top value of negative 26 pixels, left value of 163 pixels, like so. Then let's rotate it. So we use the rotate function of the transform property like so. And let's give it a value of 45 degrees. Okay, now both of our ears are in position and we have a shape that looks more like the final painting that we are working on. All right, let's continue. So in step 30, what we are going to do is remove the border, the sharp border of the right ear by setting the border top left radius to 90 pixels. So this right here, the sharp edge. So let's say border top left radius 90 pixels. And then I'll just copy and paste. So I'll copy and paste it. And I'll do border top right radius. Let's give it 10 pixels. Alright, this looks better now. Now let's talk about something called a property called z-index. Okay, so what we want to do is we want our ear, as you can see, to always be on top of the part of the head that it covers. And we can do that using the z-index. So z-index works such that elements with a higher z-index value always appear on top of other elements with a lesser value. Okay, so to demo this, let's give this, let's select the so we want to give the cut left ear a z-index. Let's say z-index. Let's give it a property of -1. And as you can see, if you watch closely, the ear is now hiding behind the rest of the head elements because the ear has a z-index of -1. Okay, if you have a z-index of an element has a z-index of a value that is less, it goes behind. So what we want to do is we want the ear to be on top of the head. So we remove z-index of -1 and make it z-index of 1. Now as you can see, that borderline appears, which means this ear is now on top of the head. Okay. Alright, moving on, let's also set the z-index of the other ear to 1 as well. Alright, next up, most cats have different colors in their ear and the inner parts of the same ear. Okay, so as you can see, we want to create this triangle we have here for the inner ear, and the way we can do that is to select this cut left inner ear. We've already created that. If we come to our HTML, this is it. cut left inner ear. So I'm going to select that and say dot. Let's remove one of the dots like so. Now I want to give it a left and border element. So let's say border left. The value is going to be 20 pixels for the size, solid as the style, and then transparent. Once again, I'll just copy and paste this, and then I'm going to change this from left to right. Then we also want to give it a border bottom border as well. So let's say border bottom. Let's give it a value of 40 pixels solid, and then 3B 4F like so. Okay, now let's move the inner ear into position with a position property. So we're going to set it to absolute. Let's give it a top property of 22 pixels and a left property with a value of negative 20 pixels. Okay, there you have it. Our ear for the left, inner ear for the left ear is ready. Now for step 36, to remove the pointed edges of the ear, inner ear, we want to set border bottom left and border and bottom, sorry, we want to set bottom right and bottom left border radius. So first, let's say border bottom right. First, let's do the right radius. So border bottom right radius, let's give it a value of 40%. And you know what? Let me just copy this. And then I'll just change right to make it left. Like so. Now, we also want to give a top left border radius as well. So once again, I'm just going to copy this, paste it here like so, and then change this to top left. And for top left, we want it to have a value of 90 pixels. And then let me replicate it and make this one right. And let's make this 10 pixels. Okay, there you have it. All right. Now, it's time to work on the right inner ear. Using a class selector, give the dot cut right inner ear. Want to give it the left and right border of, so let's do border left 20 pixels solid transparent, and let's also give it a border right also of 20 pixels solid transparent. Okay. We also want to give it border bottom of 40 pixels solid 3B 4F. Okay. Well, there's still work to be done on this, so let's continue. So we want to move the right inner ear into position with a position property set to absolute. Let's set top value to 22 pixels. Let's set a left value of negative 20 pixels. All right, this is looking good. Now, as you did for the left inner ear, we also want to remove the sharp edges of the right inner ear, and we're going to do that by setting bottom right and bottom left border radius. So I'm going to say border bottom right, border bottom right radius. Let's give it a value of 40%. And let me just copy this, paste it like so, and then I'm going to change this from right to left. Again, I'm going to paste another one and change this from top to, I'll change it to top right, and then give it a value of 90, no 10. This is going to be 10 pixels. I'm going to create another one, change this from right to left, and then I'm going to make this 90 pixels. Okay, now finally in this video, we are about to start working on the cat's eyes. So like we did for the ears, the eyes will also have inner eyes. So let's create a div element in our HTML, of course, and we want to give it a class whose value is set to cat eyes. Now inside that div, we also want to create two div elements. So let's first create the first element, and we'll give the first element a class of cat left eye, cat left eye. I'm going to replicate it, and we'll do cat right eye. Okay, so that's it. We have done the first 40 steps in this Learn Intermediate CSS by building a cat painting. So I'll see you in the next one, where we are going to work on steps 41 to step 60. All right, bye-bye.